Hello everyone, how y'all doing? Welcome to sunny Minnesota. Yes, that is what it looks like, folks. That is snow. Yeah, we are going to be a balmy 17 degrees today. And there she is, the big star of the show. This is actually take two. Somewhere along the way, somehow the video stopped recording. I have no idea when that happened. So this is take two. So I get to repeat myself all over again. Oh well, that's all right. So yeah, as you can see, we made it. I know I haven't been recording because with trying to get things sold and getting ready for the move and so forth. But yeah, we did just fine. Especially this little girl. She did phenomenal. I'm so proud of her with how well she did on the plane and everything. I was a little worried about her not with making a lot of noise or whatever, but no. And I even bought her a harness and a leash, mostly for show, just in case the airline, in case she was going to be throwing a fit or whatever, and the airline possibly would give me any hassles or whatever. But no, she did really phenomenal. As far as TSA was concerned, with the inspection, we did have to go through a personal inspection. They asked me if I would mind taking her out right there, so that way they can inspect her carrier, and I was just like, no. I told them right out I didn't feel comfortable with that, with her anxiety. So they're like, that's no problem. You will have to go through a personal inspection. I'm like, that's fine, no problem. So we're basically, after I went through the security thing, and then forgot all about that. I completely forgot about my sensor, my glucometer sensor, and then my glucometer on my waistband. Completely forgot about the both of them, and I had ordered a wheelchair too. There's no way I was going to make it through all of that mess. I was hurting, and I was having so many difficulties breathing. There's no way I was going to make it through that airport without being in a wheelchair. So, the night before, I had some questions still, and I went ahead and checked in at that point, and I had put in a request for a wheelchair, and of course to have one ready when we landed as well. But yeah, like I said, I completely forgot about my CGM and my thing. And of course it popped up on the scan, and they're like, do you have a monitor or something? And I was just like, oh my gosh, I completely forgot about it. I'm just so used to it, I didn't even think about it, And so I was wearing a turtleneck sweater and pulling up the sleeve, and the one girl, she was just like, oh, are you wearing one of those glucose? And I'm like, yes, that's what it is. And I showed it to her, and she's just like, okay, no problem, just stand over here. And I had to take my other hand, I had to pat down, and then pat on there, and then also on the monitor. And then they had me cut my hands, and they scanned my hands, basically to check for, like any bomb residue or something like that, and then, scanned that way and so forth. So it was just like, okay, yeah. At first I was just like, what in the world are they doing? And I'm like, never experienced this before. And then it dawned on me, I'm like, oh, okay, I see what you're doing. Okay, got it. So, yeah, once I passed the inspection, we were escorted into a private room, and I had to basically take her out, hold her while they inspected her carrier. So that worked out really. She was such a good girl. Oh my gosh, she did a phenomenal job with all of that. So, and then when we went back to see about my carry-ons, I was stuffing crap all over the place. I mean, all over the place. I had no idea where anything was anymore. I was trying to keep things out of my backpack as much as possible, things that could possibly sound off any alarms or whatever with going through security, and trying to put it all in my luggage. But I didn't real, I had no idea what I did with my tablet at that point. And I seriously thought I had put it in the luggage somewhere. And then, when it went through the scanner, the lady was like, "Do you have a Kindle or something?" And I'm just, "A Kindle? No, I don't even own a Kindle." And I'm just like, I'm trying to rack my brain what it might possibly be, because I had taken my Wacom tablet and put it in there, but I took it out, so that way they could inspect it. Basically, of course, they're looking for any sort of bomb material or whatever. And I was completely dumbfounded. And then I remember, well, her laser pointer, but I'm just like, no, it's too small. And I'm trying to rack my brain what it could possibly be. And then she starts pulling stuff out, and I was just like, oh my gosh, I thought I put that in my luggage. Completely spaced. So of course I had to inspect that and everything. I'm like, and of course she had asked. She's like, "Do you mind if?" And I'm like, go ahead. I was just like, I had no idea what it could be, And then it was just like, oh my gosh, I completely forgot about it. I felt so embarrassed. I'm just like, I am so sorry. And it's just like, it's okay, no problem. I'm like, it's just been an emergency trip. I had no idea what I was throwing anywhere, or whatever. But it was like, no problem. And then, of course, she had pulled out my, I had bought a small lunchbox to throw my insulin and a package of syringes in. And, I had explained that to her and everything. And she's like, "Is your name on?" Yeah, I'm like, "Yes." So, of course, that had to be inspected. And the rest of the syringes, boxes of syringes that I had, and instead of keeping them in the boxes, taking up space, I just took out all the packages and threw them in the luggage, wherever I could fit them or whatever. I figured, that's good enough. It's no big deal, with those being loose. And it's quite obvious, that, especially with the bottles of insulin, prescriptions is right on there. So obviously, I need syringes in order to be able to take my insulin. So, but, that was one, thing, but, everything went off without a hitch. The flight was really, really, smooth. It was really emotional seeing, home for the last time, basically. And I had a wonderful passenger. I was in the middle seat, and she was had the window seat, and the other person on the other side decided not to go. And but yeah, she was really wonderful. She was asking me a lot of questions about Vegas and so forth, and we were just talking the whole trip. It was really, really nice. I was telling her a bunch of stories and so forth. And she was local here. So, yeah, she was really, really wonderful. And it was only a 3-hour and 18-minute flight. So, actually, we got in a little bit early. And we didn't have to wait long at all for the luggage. I mean, it was like we landed and they were throwing it out. It was like, okay, I will admit, though, with the descent, I took one look at that snow, and I was just like, can I buy a return ticket? But it's like, no, child, there's a reason why you're here. And it was funny, too, when we were starting to come in, getting close to the area, the captain got on the intercom and gave us the local temperature. He was like, yeah, it's a 60-degree difference here. It is 0 degrees right now. And I just let out a, ah! And I was just like, no! And the girl I was talking to, she died laughing. And everybody else turned around and looked at me like, what the fuck is your problem? I'm like, sorry, folks, Vegas local here. And everybody just started laughing. So, yeah, it was like a little bit of a shock to the system. And even though I was prepared, I knew what I was getting myself into, but at the same point, it was like, yeah. And the minute I hit that gangplank with exiting the plane, it was just like, whoa, total, yeah, cold. And I experienced that once before when I was living in, I had been living in Virginia, or basically down in the South, North Carolina and then Virginia, for about 10 years at that point, something like that. And so, of course, I was used to warm weather, and then we took my parents and I took a trip up to Michigan for Thanksgiving to visit family. And, yeah, when we got off the plane there in Grand Rapids, and we walked by a door that opened up, it was like, ooh, and I remembered that. And I experienced the same thing with here, especially, yeah, we just had gone through a cold snap there on Friday with a storm system. We lost power for several hours as well. But, we got up to 44, but it felt like 38. And it got downright cold. There was quite a few power outages, actually, because it was a combination of freezing rain and ice and snow that was coming down. And then with the cold, I mean, it was a pretty big temperature drop. We went from upper 80, down to those temperatures within a matter of a few days. So, yeah, it was pretty something. But when I got here, I was wearing my sweatpants, but, they're a couple years old, so they're a little on the thin side. And then, of course, they're going to be thin with the environment that I was living in. But I was also wearing a turtleneck sweater and my hiking boots, just to be on the safe side. Glad I was wearing those. I did bring my sneakers with, too, because I know I'm going to get, I'm going to need those at some point. But even though they need to be replaced, but I definitely made sure I was wearing those. Feet have been staying nice and toasty warm, no problem. But today I decided, I'm getting tired of wearing the other stuff, and I'm waiting for a washer machine repairman to show up. And I was like, I'm going to wear a t-shirt. And I stepped outside to take some pictures, and shoom, right into the chest. Yeah, it was like, yeah, I definitely noticed the difference. And so, yeah, I'm wearing my warm flannel bathrobe just to have a layer on. And but the bedroom here, I've been able to keep warm. They have a space heater, so we've been keeping that going. And I made sure that I brought with my heating blanket, and then I have my saddle blanket here, and that's been helping to keep us nice and toasty and warm as well. So yeah, but most things sold. Some things did not, and in some ways I was in hopes that they wouldn't, to tell you the truth. Yeah, I just I found it very difficult being able to part with them. Some of it my Native American art, yeah. And I even tried calling around to the natives to see if if they would be willing to take donation or whatever, but they said no. I just explained to them I don't feel right, just take it and throw it in the trash or whatever, So, but unfortunately, I wasn't able to find a home, so I started taking, and I'm not a clothes horse. So I didn't have much, so I just started taking my clothes that I knew I was going to be keeping and started wrapping, the valuables, the breakables, basically. Started taking them and wrapping those items in my clothes. I'm taking the clothes with anyway, put them to good use, That's the way I look at it. How I usually pack with moving anyway, also saves on packing material, That's the way I look at it. So, like the bigger items that I had, like my the sand painting that I have, and then I also have this plate that's a sand painting. I took the blanket, my heating blanket, and wrapped those items in this, and then to add extra cushioning, as I got those hard-sided. I basically did a trade with somebody for. She sells items from Amazon pallets, and she had a couple of hard-sided suitcases, and I did a trade for her with those, and I packed the opposite side with a combination of my saddle blanket and those other breakables that were also padded to help cushion everything all together and everything. I know sometimes it can be counterintuitive, but it worked. So, and that's what I was trying to do with everything, because there was a few items. But yeah, it. Oh, excuse me. I know. But yeah, yesterday I spent the day just mostly resting and sleeping. I was going to try and hit the DMV yesterday, but I just kept having way too many dizzy spells. I also, because of the gut issues and knowing that I wasn't going to be flying, I mean, that I was going to be flying on Tuesday. I didn't want to run the risk of eating, because that's when I wind up having the nausea issues or needing to run to the bathroom or whatever. And so I didn't eat on Tuesday until after we landed here. And even then it was pretty late. So, of course, that messed up my blood sugars a little bit yesterday. And I was having quite a few lows. But it was okay. I did all right. I'm getting straightened back around now. But yeah, I just kept also getting a lot of dizzy spells yesterday from all of the exhaustion and the stress and everything. Because let's face it, between the domestic violence situation next door at the start of the week and then running right into needing to sell everything, dealing with that adrenaline high for several days and not getting much in the way of sleep. It's like, yeah, I was pretty exhausted. I still am tired a little bit, but at least my head's starting to get straightened back around. I'm not feeling so dizzy and confused today. So, yeah, mostly what I'm waiting around for right now, like I said, is the washing machine repair guy. And I offered to cook them all dinner tonight too. And at least a way to say thank you, you know, for helping me out, and so forth. So, and especially since I'm taking up their one daughter's bedroom right now. She's actually sleeping downstairs in the basement. And we did that primarily because of Possum. Otherwise, I would have no problem sleeping in the basement. But it's mostly because of Possum with her anxieties. So, yeah, she has already put me in touch with a social worker to help me out. I just need to be able to give her a call, but I don't want to do that while waiting for the repair guy. And, you know, it never fails the minute you get on the phone with somebody important. Oh, they're going to show up. Yeah, it happens. You know how it is. Happens every time. Yep. So I figured I'd just do this video in the meantime. And I was going to try and make it to DMV yesterday, but I was just too tired. There is a DMV that's right here, but it's looking like it's a small station, and they might not do the driver's licenses here. I might have to go to a bigger location. So, with where my friend's husband works, they get, it's basically a Walgreens, and they get a lot of the employees from that DMV over there. So he was going to ask one of them what sort of requirements I'm going to be needing to get my driver's license switched over to here. Then we could see about, I know in the meantime, probably social worker will be able to help me out, you know, but, you know, it's going to be a matter of being able to possibly get on Medicaid or the health insurance. I'm probably going to have to get my ID switched over or whatever. But in the meantime, might be able to get some other services going, like maybe, I remember when my mom and I were in Florida, my mom was never able to get in to get her her state ID switched over to Florida, and she was able to qualify for food stamps. So I might be able to do the same thing here. So we'll see. Because my food stamps, I'm out of money. I have like a couple more months with the state of Nevada, but I need to get that switched over to here, and that would, if I can get now, another allotment or whatever, then I might be able to, have that money for food for the rest of the month, or whatever, and who knows, it might even be more. And again, it might be less. We'll see. Well, when I talk to her, I'll see what's going on. And, of course, the big thing is going to be housing and getting me back to work as quickly as possible. I've already talked to them to maybe, my friend and her husband, see about maybe coming with me, doing test drives, out there, because Tuesday night with coming home and then running out to Walmart so I could get myself a pair of long johns. Yeah, they had one pair left in the size that I needed, and on top of that, they were on sale for $5. So I lucked out there. They were sitting there waiting for me. But yeah, I needed them. I mean, that cold went right straight through my sweatpants, was hitting my legs, even in the house, and I was just freezing. Even with having the space heater on, I was just freezing. So yeah. But then last night too, with running around or whatever, I'm seeing those ice. To me, it looks like ice patches, but they're like, oh no, that's not, and this and that, and I'm just like, yeah. Or pulling up someplace. To me, it looks like it's a sheet of ice, but they're like, oh no, it's just compacted snow, and it's just like, okay. But I wasn't feeling well enough last night to chance going out on the road by myself just yet. Today, I think I could, but last night there was no way. I was just having too many dizzy spells and everything. It was just like, oh, whoa, So I think I could today. I am going to post some pictures up on the, I don't know if I'll do it on all the social media, but definitely the YouTube channel on the community tab. Post some pictures of the snow, and I'm holding off doing any of it. There's this Italian restaurant that's right here. Has these monster icicles. You got to see them. I was completely blown away when I was just like, holy shit. I mean, monsters. I haven't seen that since I was a kid living in Michigan. That's what it's. I've spent most of my life in warm weather, between the South and then Vegas. It was like, yeah, this is just like, I'm just like, wow, this is taking me back to my childhood, So, yeah, it's been something, that's for sure. But it's, as long as I keep myself bundled up, my chest bundled up, I'm doing good, when it comes to, the breathing. So that's good. That's really, really good. I was going to get myself some laundry detergent last night, but I completely forgot anyway. But yeah, we're waiting on the washing machine repair guy anyway. So, but Walmart's not that far. I can see about going back over there. But I do need to get myself back to work as quickly as possible. But I was thinking maybe maybe I can chance it myself with going out and testing the waters, testing the roads. Mostly what you're seeing out there is salt, and I can't, that's something that I'm having to get used to also, is all the salt on the vehicles. Yeah, that's something to get used to. I'm not used to that. It's like, I'm so used to, if you have a dirty vehicle, back there, it's like sacrilege, everybody's constantly washing their cars. Just like the song, like, washing their cars on their lunch breaks in their skirts and suits, Yeah. What is that? Alanis Morissette, I think. My apologies to the singer-songwriter, copyright holder. I don't even remember the name of the song, who does it or anything. I know it's a female, but I don't remember who it is. So my apologies for quoting and so forth. But yeah, it's been a bit of a culture shock, and I did see out there that Mount Charleston definitely got a nice snowpack. So if you like going skiing, and you're going to Vegas and going there for the warrant, heck, take in some skiing too. Up there on Mount Charleston, there is a ski resort up there, and yeah, they got themselves a nice snowpack up there. So definitely go check that out. And it is a nice change of pace. Of course, coming in and driving around, it's a bit of a shock also, not just because of the snow, but I'm so used to everything being compact development. I mean, hardly any open spaces, basically. Or if there are, it's not that terribly far from, we're talking less than 5 minutes from development again, whereas here it's like you have like a little pocket of a shopping area, and then you have all this wide open space, or whatever. And I'm sure it's probably a little bit different because we're in the burbs, but it's out there you really don't have burbs, It's just all one huge development basically, and then bam, you're out in the middle of the desert. So that's taking a little getting used to. I'm not used to that. And even like in SoCal, it's the same way. But with Nevada, it's different because most of the state is owned by the federal government, the Bureau of Land Management, because of all the cattle grazing, all those ranges. So yeah, it's going to take me a little getting used to with that situation, and dim lights, because even like street lights and so forth out there are bright. I mean, it's just one big bright light bulb out there basically. So yeah, it's taken me a little getting used to out here, and yeah, there's going to be a lot, but I also am seeing things that I've actually been wanting, the sort of lifestyle that I've been trying to get to living out there, but haven't. I've been striving, working towards, and everything, but it was kind of a struggle and so forth. But out here, it's commonplace for people to be living this way. So it's like, okay. I know another thing that's going to take me a little getting used to are the smaller Walmarts. I mean, what they're calling a super Walmart is small stores back there, and they're usually in the poorer neighborhoods and not the greatest of people shopping there. So yeah, and I'm used to mega Walmarts basically. And I mean, and also out there we have the neighborhood Walmarts, which are basically strictly grocery stores, and of course they don't have those here. And I'm trying to explain what they are to them, and they're just like, "What?" I mean, because the grocery side has the green signage like the neighborhood Walmarts have back there, and then the rest of the store has the blue signage. And I also noticed they're still using that dark blue color for signage, whereas we've switched over to the light blue color. But this Walmart, they're in the process of remodeling, so I'm going to be curious to see how they remodel that, if it's going to be like it is back there, or if they're going to be doing something completely different, something new. So that's going to be interesting to find out. So anyway, yeah, I'm just yeah, like I said, there's going to be a lot of things to get used to, but she was also telling me that there's a really great craft store that we'll have to do a girls trip to, and then there's also this huge fabric warehouse. Definitely have to. And it sounded familiar when she said the name. It was like a very old, distant memory. So I kind of wonder if it was a place that my mom, when she had opened up her fabric store there in Michigan, if it's where she, maybe there was a location there, and that's where she had gotten the bolts of fabric, because it was like a very, very old, distant memory when she had said it. And I'm like, it sounds so familiar to me. So we'll see. Anywho, I should let you go since I'm coming up on my 30-minute mark here. But I wanted to catch you all up on what's going on and so forth. So, anywho, I love you guys. I appreciate yous. I'll keep you posted. And I'll talk at yous later. Love yous.